NRL Fantasy Round 2 brought us some new faces and some old favorites to the top 5 list. We're going to talk about the top 5 scores from this round and some of the top performers of the round in general as well. First up, Connor Watson led the Roosters to a victory against the Panthers, and I've got to say, it was not a game I typically. Now, in the tipping combine, man, I saw about 2% people were on the Roosters. If you're on the Roosters, congratulations to you. You absolutely nailed that one. But for me, I was shocked they won this game. Now, Connor Watson came out, scored 2 tries in this one, and 2 line breaks to go with that. I think it was about 49 tackles, 1 miss there, bunch of run meters as well. Like the stat sheet was stuffed for Connor Watson, and 88 points reflects that. Absolutely dominant performance from him. Played a lot of lock in this game, so Zach Docker-Clay came out because the Roosters were missing so many guys. So in this one, Nat Butcher, Victor Radley, and Spencer Leniu were all out, plus all the guys they lost last year. It was a very different Roosters side, and Connor Watson stepped up, and he got the win for the Chooks. In second, it's Kellen Ponga, and this guy pumped out 86 points. And if you watch this game against the Dolphins, Ponga was everywhere. Like this guy, he looked like he was going to score a few more tries than he did because he didn't have any tries. He had to try assists. He just did whatever he wanted on that field. And 86 points, it's almost a bit of mercy for us who don't own him. He could have scored more than this if things broke in different directions. So, yeah, Kellen Ponga is showing us a glimpse of that potential. He is on fire to start 2025. And if he can continue this, he's going to be the top fullback in fantasy 100%. Going through to Payne Haas, and this was in the top 5 last week. He's back here now. 81 points last week, 85 points this week. Now his minutes increased this week. So last week it was 49 minutes played. This week, 57 minutes. And we saw him pump out massive numbers. What we saw here too was last week he pumped out those numbers against the Roosters side who Broncos dominated. This week, we saw him do the same thing in a Canberra game where the Broncos lost. So, Payne Haas isn't a flat track bully, what I'm saying here. Like, he can do it in tough games against good forward packs, that are really turning up, and he can do it in easier games as well. So, if Payne Haas, it's hard not to win him. And again, like, we're talking about a guy who I don't have in my fantasy side right now. The preseason ankle surgery, that scared me off a bit. He was in my team before that, but I moved him on after that. I'm going to have to reconsider because what he's doing out in the field is absolutely insane. Like 6 offloads from him to hand and then another offload to ground. So you're looking at, I think, about 26 points from offloads alone, right? But the offloading game, the tackle breaks, the way he's attacking the line, the role he's playing at Brisbane, he's no longer a battering ram. He's no longer just a work rate guy. He is now being used brilliantly by Madge Maguire. And we're going to see Payne Haas just pump out massive numbers over and over again. Like he's going to be on this list all the time. I'm terrified too because they've got some matchups coming up. So the Cowboys this week, for example, who are a team that have leaked a lot of points, where Payne Haas could potentially rack up some attacking stats as well. So if you have that base of 80 points there, and you try a few tries, you're looking at 100, 120, 130, and it becomes just game-breaking fantasy production. So Payne Haas, he's a guy you got to target. I talked to him for a while, but he is an absolute weapon. May Nicholson, very different one here. So first game in NRL, and he dominated with 2 tries. Again, from the same game there as well. Had a good work rate. So the run meters weren't great, only 59 run meters, but the 2 tries helped. The line breaks with those, good defensive work rate, good tackle breaks, all that sort of stuff. Look, in general, I wouldn't forecast him to be up around this score usually, but he's an interesting option because he's about 450K coming into this week, up to about 500K at this point. Still very interesting with Zach Hosking also having the injury. So Hosking should be out about 3 to 6 weeks with a broken hand, broken wrist, something in that area, which will mean that Manny Nicholson will dominate that edge back row spot. So yeah, he's a guy you could target 100% at the cheaper end compared to Payne Haas. And then Bradman Best, 77 points. We've talked about him in the preseason as a guy who can explode. He had that explosion game. Scored, had the line breaks as well. Was very good up against his opposite there at the Dolphins in Herbie Farm. So yeah, Bradman Best is a guy who can break out any given week. And this was a glimpse into the lower end of his ceiling because he can pump out 100 plus as well. So if you have Bradman Best, you're absolutely stoked. A lot of you guys have Dylan Lucas instead at the center spot, or Bo Firmer as well, and they both popped off to big scores too. It's not quite in this top 5. Anyway, that is our Fantasy 5, top 5 scorers from the round, brought to you by me, Longy from The Casual Athlete, former overall champ. You can check me out on YouTube. Just search for The Casual Athlete. I talk fantasy non-stop. And I'm also here on Zero Tackle, talking fantasy as well. So I'll see you guys on the next video.